Hello there and happy Wednesday evening. My name is Julie Hirschberg. I'm a neurologic physical therapist and the owner and founder of Reactive Therapy and Wellness, and coming live here every week to share a little bit about what we're learning and doing here at Reactive. And I just thank you so much for joining me every week. It's really fun to connect to a community. And today I want to talk about an article that I literally just read. It ended up on in my inbox from the most wonderful Mike Studer, a fellow neurologic physical therapist, friend, colleague of mine. And honestly, when he sends me an article, I read it. He doesn't send me a lot of articles, but I listen up. He's one of the most brilliant people that I know in this world. And he has just got some great insights. And Mike and Chelsea here at Reactive and myself were presenting at CSM. We have a session on autonomy. And so this particular article that he sent this week was on autonomy. And I don't like the title of this article, so I'm going to give you that disclaimer, but it's got some real gems. I wanted to hit on some of these pieces today and talk about why optimal theory and autonomy as part of optimal theory is so important in rehab, in physical therapy, and occupational therapy. And this week, so not to talk too much about CSM, but combined sections meeting is the APTA meeting that occurs usually every February. It's in San Diego this year. I'm also putting together a one-day pre-conference course with my amazing colleagues at Mass General. Julie Maggio, who publishes a lot on functional neurologic disorders, Heather Salon, and also the occupational therapist and social worker from the Mass General group. Super excited to collaborate with them. And yesterday we met we've got ongoing preparations for this one-day course. Yesterday we met and Julie said, optimal is optimal in functional neurologic disorders. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that. Optimal is optimal. So I want to start first. I'm just going to pull up the little kind of Venn diagram from the optimal theory. If you're not familiar with this, is a theory of motor learning and motor control. Gabby Wolf, Rebecca Luthwaite, really put this together after years of looking at research of what really is optimal for motor learning. And these three themes emerged: external focus of attention, enhanced expectancies, and in our big orange circle, autonomy. That's what I want to talk about today with this recent study. And again, this is a big focus of the work that Mike Studer shares a lot about. And if you hadn't seen it today, our announcement that our Neuropracticity 5.0 course is out. Mike Studer teaches a course with Reactive Education every year. And we just announced that that's open. We have a date. It's March 18th. We're doing a one-day course. Plus there's some pre-recorded neuro nuggets from Mike. We're definitely going to be talking about this a lot. So again, Mike Studer sent this study. So I just want to give you the heading here. So this was from Archives of Physical Medicine and Rehab just last month. So hot off the press. And again, I hate the title, but let's talk about it anyway. Compliance. It's my least favorite word. I think it's a terrible word in healthcare. Compliance with in-home self-managed rehabilitation post-stroke is largely independent of scheduling approach. Now, maybe that title doesn't tell you a lot. I definitely had to read the article, but I knew because Mike sent it that this was about autonomy. And I think it is so fascinating what they found in this study. So let me tell you what they did. It was a fairly large study. I want to say it was a 98 people total, but actually only 8 in this particular arm. And they were looking at this. These are people who are post-stroke, and they were looking at them using a video game type interface for arm recovery practice. at home. So first of all, this is a really like huge area of stroke rehab, as well as many other things, to try to increase the repetitions in the practice that occurs at home, because we know it takes a ton of practice for neuroplasticity to occur. It takes a lot of practice for the arm recovery post-stroke, and it's really hard to do. So I personally have consulted with various companies and engineers and other projects on some of these video-based gaming systems that can provide feedback based on movement, back in the day, it was the Kinect cameras. So that was the study, is that they looked at 15 hours. We want you to do 15 hours over, 3 weeks. 15 hours over 3 weeks practicing. They actually did physical therapy sessions to instruct on how to do this, and then they were sent on their way to do it at home. We all know it's really hard to follow through on practice and get that much repetition at home. So they were really looking at what helps people to be able to complete this on their own. They use the word compliance. Again, my least favorite healthcare word. I think my dog wants to join us. Yes, he does. So Caesar is joining us for this live. So what did they find? First of all, really abysmal that most people could not do the 15 hours. Maybe that's not surprising. That's like an hour a day for 3 weeks. I don't know exactly. They had some pictures of what the game looked like. I don't know if it was that engaging, but there might be some reasons why that was difficult to keep doing the exercises. And that's exactly why they published this paper, was to look at, well, the folks that did better at staying with this exercise, what was it, what was about those folks that kept them going? And what they found is that it was autonomy. So it was really that the self-selected schedule of practice was most effective in helping people stick with their routine. Surprise! Give somebody autonomy, give them choice in how they're going to set up a program at home, and they're going to be more likely to do it. So I want to show you the results here. So let me grab this. Hopefully it'll show up. It might be kind of small. But what they found is that there were 4 profiles that ended up coming out of this group. And you can see at the bottom actually how you can see their adherence and the percent of fully adherent. So of these 15 hours, on average, the entire group completed 10 hours. And then in each of these 4 profiles, you can see in that profile 1, they were 40% adherent to that. In profile 2, they were 48%. Look at profile 3. Awesome. They were 75%. And then you can see profile 4, 0% adherence. So 0% of the folks in that group were adherent. So the majority, if you look at these profiles, the majority of people are actually in profile 1 or 2. So there's 20 plus in each of those groups. And what they found in those folks is they were scheduled, those folks, by the way, had full autonomy to set up their schedule. Some of them had short, frequent sessions. Others had long sessions that were more less frequent, so moderate frequency. In profile number 3, that had the most adherence, they had a very consistent schedule of long sessions. So what they found, though, if like average across these groups, is that it didn't really matter. It was what worked for that person. So for some people, that long, more spaced out sessions. For some people, very consistent schedule with short frequencies of practice. And then for a third, a very consistent schedule of long practices. So regardless of the profile, it seemed to be that people who had the choice and the autonomy to set it up for what worked for them, they were the most adherent to the actual practice schedule. So basically, and I'll read what they concluded, is that in selecting a home practice schedule that works best for them, the adherence to the program could be fully achieved in a variety of scheduling patterns. So this really hits home, not a one size fits all for everybody. I'll go ahead and stop sharing this table here. Not a one size fits all. Autonomy matters. So what works for one person might not work for the other person, and giving that person some choice, maybe some guided choice, like, okay, you have 15 hours, and maybe choosing between the most helpful patterns, which seem to be a little more consistent, and it was either short or long practices. Giving somebody that choice is so helpful. And that really takes us back to optimal is optimal. So that autonomy, so that orange circle in the optimal theory, autonomy and providing autonomy in rehab is really part of the piece that can lead to optimal motor learning outcomes. And for the most part, what we do as physical therapists, we're looking to drive motor learning, sustained changes and behaviors, and sustained brain changes too. So autonomy is one piece of that puzzle. And what this piece of literature shows us is that providing a person a choice so that they can direct and guide their home program helps them stay consistent, helps them be able to complete a practice at home. And we know when it comes to brain changes, practice is so important. So these little pieces that help people maintain a habit and practice at home are so important. So this piece of autonomy, just one of the many pieces that help us help other people. So very interesting. Again, like I said, I listen when Mike Studer speaks up. I open my email, I read the articles he sent me, and I'm so thankful for Mike for sending me this article this week that really confirms what we knew. It's nice to see that come out in the actual research. And what we know is that helping people make their own plan and their own process for practicing is super helpful. This study was in post-stroke, but I would argue, this really goes across the board. So I hope you found that helpful. If you're not on our newsletter list, then please join it. It's at reactiveeducation.com. If you're a healthcare provider, join our newsletter. And I say, please join it because I very much recognize that on Instagram and social media, they change daily, and it's really through our newsletter that we are consistently connected to people. So this video will show up in our newsletter during the week, and then I'll send you a link to the article as well and any other resources that we talk about. So join our newsletter. And if you are like me and love learning about these principles that drive neuroplasticity, we just opened up Mike Studer's course for next year. It's on March 18th, and it's a day-long course, all Mike, all of the time. And we're going to be talking about a lot of these concepts. So the early bird is open right now. You can get that at reactiveeducation.com. And it's Neuropracticity 5.0. It's actually NP5. There's a link in our bio anyway. And Sarah says, can Mike send me some articles too? Yes. So I'm so grateful to Mike. And here's the thing, Sarah. When Mike sends me an article, I'm going to share it with y'all. I'm going to share it with our Brain Bites crew. I'm going to share it here because I always learn so much. And Sarah says she's already brainstorming some strategies for our F&D program. Yes. Yes. As Julie Maggio said yesterday, as we were planning our F&D pre-con course for APTA, she said, optimal is optimal. And I wholeheartedly agree. We're talking about that for F&D, but listen, for stroke, for brain injury, for concussion, for MS, for peripheral neuropathies, for humans, for sports, for athletics, optimal is optimal if we want to drive motor learning. So, Sarah, thanks for nerding out on optimal with me today. And thanks to all of you really, for being with me today. Again, join our newsletter at reactiveeducation.com and join Mike's course. It's going to be awesome. I look forward to it every single year. So that's coming up in March. Thanks so much, y'all. And I hope you have a great evening, a great week, and I will see you soon.